And welcome to a very special cover story conversation. I have with me Sugata Srinivasaraju. He's an author and a columnist. He's written a book on Rahul Gandhi, The Strange Burden, which looks at the politics and the predicaments of being Rahul Gandhi. It's an excellent read and holds true even today. I think it's been about 4 or 5 years since you wrote the book, Sugata, but it's really something that helped us a lot to understand the politics of the Congress party. And
Thank you.
today I have you with me to discuss more of the same. So,
Pleasure.
welcome to this conversation.
Thank you.
Shukata, basically, we are talking today. The Congress the opposition has lost Bihar. How much of a role the Congress had in the defeat is something I'd like to talk to you about. But basically, Rahul's Congress, how do you see it? Because again, I'm hearing the murmurings. I don't think there is talk of a split. I don't see that happening, but there is a huge discontent among the Congress leaders with Rahul and his team. So, what have you heard? What do you think about this?
Priya, I hear very similar things that you have heard. But, the reasoning may be different as to why it has reached where it has reached. The reasoning that one may offer may be slightly different. I see the major problem, as many others have seen it, in the inability of Rahul Gandhi and his other colleagues to actually do politics the way it is traditionally done. So
Hmm.
there may be problems with the way you do politics traditionally in any country, but then, it's about a power game. It's a game where you stake claim to the chair, and power is always not something that is offered to you on a platter. Power is something that you have to fight for. That ability to fight is something that Rahul Gandhi, I feel personally, has discounted from day one. He has always tried to tell you that it is a kind of spiritual exercise, at one point of time. He has tried to make it look like something that is not, that is poison. Power is poison. He enters
Poison.
the whole, arena of such a hard fought kind of arena with this presumption that it could be poison. Of course, he quotes his mother, but then, he adopts that kind of a line very early in his political career. He sort of leans towards that. So there may be very different reasons as to why he sort of picked that line and has been extremely cautious about allowing power to sort of consume him the way it consumes a lot of Indian politicians who sort of start chasing it in a very different way. So it that may be commendable on his part that he has not allowed it to consume him, and he has always tried to look down upon it. But power is something like a maiden. You have to chase it. So that he has not done. So that is point number one. But in the recent past, more specifically after the Padyatra that he did, Bharat Jodo Yatra he did, uh,
Hmm.
he has tried to shift the focus of the Congress towards a certain ideological agenda. See, ideological agenda is something that works for a political party when it is violated. I don't think Modi has behaved like a Hindutva czar after he has become the prime minister of this country, or when he sort of tries to win an election. There are several components that go into the winning of an election, and not just your ideological position. But Rahul Gandhi has tried to blinker the Congress with his ideological vision. In fact, he has borrowed a lot from his allies.
Hmm.
For instance, he has borrowed a Mandalite agenda and suddenly became a very, very, exuberant and about caste agenda. So
Which is not what his father or the Congress
absolutely. So that
party.
is the Congress was a kind of a, omnibus party, an umbrella party, which accommodated a lot of people from different walks of life, different castes, and negotiated internally, extremely well for many decades. Indira Gandhi also did it extremely well. I think the decline started, in decline in the sense that the inability to negotiate a complex terrain like that started with Rajiv Gandhi, because he got a
Hmm.
fantastic mandate and then he lost it all, in less than 5 years. So he was unable to sort of control or push forward something that he had that had been offered to him on a platter. It was literally offered to him on a platter.
Yeah.
So that so the Congress's move towards a certain ideological thing hardens its position on a lot of things. The caste thing. Uh, for example, if you look at the Bihar, you mentioned the Bihar elections. Now it's very, very clear. I may be wrong on this, but I would like to sort of hazard a guess that I think the Mandal way of doing politics in India after BJP has been in power for 12 years has moved on. It's not that caste has gone. Caste as a kind of, identity marker which helps in, bringing people together or organizing, will continue to be there. But the specific Mandal way of exploiting caste to get votes, I think people have gone beyond that. If you look at the results of Bihar, it looks
Hmm.
very, very, very interesting because the BJP or the NDA took care of the 50% of its electorate. That is the women vote. That is a universal vote bank. The gender
Ah.
vote bank, which does not get curtailed, which used to get curtailed by caste, religion. It used to have it would be a very splintered thing. Say, for instance, if a Yadav man was voting for a particular party, the Yadav women were also assumed to be voting for that party. But now you see that split has happened. A Muslim
That's
woman
true.
is not voting along with a Muslim man. Probably she is the secret ballot, the idea of a real democratic freedom is, I think, being experienced in the huge demography which constitutes really 50% of your electorate, that's women. So I think that universalism that has come in has jolted the way you do caste politics.
Politics.
But
In fact, Yashwant Deshmukh said that the new MY is now Mahila and youth rather than
that's
Muslims and
right.
Yadavs.
I think the Prime Minister also used it in his victory speech later
Yes.
after the Bihar thing. So,
Hmm.
but now look at the Congress. See, like Johnny come lately into the whole Mandal agenda, Rahul Gandhi picked it up when Modi was trying to create a flatter kind of electorate across India, which was based on universals. Like gender is one part of it, youth is another thing. So for every splintering that the opposition tried to do with, say, this caste with this combination and that religious combination with something else, Modi only, he may see, it's not that they have not done caste engineering or social engineering, they do it, but their messaging was very different. They created a certain kind of universal messaging. Youth, Mahila, and then,
Correct.
it could be Vikalang, Divyang, the
Hmm.
disabled. As a larger categories, they started pursuing the whole thing as larger categories. While the Congress, which was doing that earlier, allowed that whole space to be taken over by the BJP by, coming into great fondness with the caste agenda, which was, I think the bus had moved, the train had moved. But he tried to get into that. And
Hmm.
without particularly understanding what it is in the Indian context, because if there's anybody, any politician in India today who has not experienced caste firsthand, and who does not even know the realities of caste, it is Rahul Gandhi. Because I don't think
Correct.
that identity has ever affected him. He has always been kind of secluded and protected. And the whole being protected and secluded does so many other things to you. But when it comes to social realities like
Yeah.
caste, it affects you even more. So that is the reason why for him it is a project. Caste is a project. Going and watching somebody do work with their hands, a farmer or a workshop person, repairing automobiles, all of that is a project for him. While for the
Correct.
rest of the political class, it's a lived experience, right? It's a
Very
reality.
well said.
Yeah. So he's been moving from one project to another. From 2017, if you look at that's the time around which he became Congress president and all that. So he was first, what did he try to do? He tried to embrace the idea of religion. He was trying to soft pedal religion in a certain way. He was making claims that he was also from the upper caste. And then,
Hmm.
a lot of those things. And he used to go to Vaishno Devi, walk up the hill, do a lot of such things, which he thought was necessary to counter the BJP or at least take away a chunk of their votes or look neutral. They were confused even then. And when that did not
Right.
work, he moved on to something else, which was again trying to do universal messaging of love against hate, mohabbat ki dukan, and he walked the length and breadth of India, which is extremely good. But he walked without a political goal. He did not dare even once message. I've written about that in my book. Even once he did not try to message the goal of capturing power in Delhi. And as I said earlier, power is to be chased. Power is a different game. So he
But
tried.
some would say that this bleeding heart, trying to connect, मैं सुनने आया हूँ, मन की बात आपकी सुनने आया हूँ, would strike a chord, given how it is a direct opposite to Modi's politics, and initially he did get the crowds. He did, get a good response in a lot of states also,
No,
but that converting it into votes somehow is not happening.
yeah, I mean, see, you have to first decide, Priya, whether you want votes or you want goodwill, or you want to
Huh.
sort of be a
Be an
kind
NGO.
NGO kind of a thing, which is always said about him. So you're running a political party. So I think you and I, as journalists, are speaking in the context of a political party. I don't think we are looking at the Congress party as some kind of a lofty, spiritual organization or a lofty, an NGO doing some, bleeding heart kind of a work in a certain.
Point well made. Correct. Yeah, I
No,
agree with
you
you.
are looking at it as a political party, and what is the basic thing that a political party has to do? It has to win elections, and it has to sort of mobilize people and convert their minds and ensure that they vote for you. So that's the primary criterion on which a political party rests, and it is unabashed. The chase of power in a political party is very unabashed. But Rahul Gandhi is shy of talking of power in a way that a Modi would talk about it, or a Vajpayee spoke about it, or a Devegowda would speak about it, or a Mulayam Singh Yadav, or Akhilesh Yadav, or even Tejasvi Yadav. So,
Hmm.
so he moved into that zone when he was doing the Bharat Jodo Yatra. And then he jolted that entire thing and moved to federalism. So, where was he picking up his federal agenda? He was picking it up from the DMK. A DMK, a party which came to power, or did this whole movement in Tamil Nadu in the 50s and the 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, in direct opposition to Mahatma Gandhi and the Congress party. So you borrow the federalist agenda. See, he only took a small part of what they were trying to say, or the kind of regional pride and federal negotiation and all that. But DMK is a full package. It's a cultural package. If you take one part of it and if you associate with it in a certain way, then the rest of it automatically sticks to you. And
Right.
what were the allies thinking about Rahul Gandhi? Rahul, they thought that if we are doing mandal politics, why is this fellow also coming and snatching our agenda here? So the even allies became extremely cautious about him. So again, federalism. The DMK thought it was the sole spokesperson in this country for federalist ideas. It could be cultural autonomy, it could be tax negotiations between states and the center, using a certain kind of language to speak that whole thing. Now, if you listen to PTR or somebody, who's been there, very articulate person from Tamil Nadu, it is very clear, it's well laid out, or a Stalin when he speaks about it. But Rahul Gandhi, being a junior partner in Tamil Nadu, borrowed that whole agenda, swallowed it for some time, and tried to speak that language even in parliament. If you remember, he said that, I greatly admire the Tamils because of their pride for language, that, this, and everything. And it's the same party and the same philosophical and ideological framework which had completely jolted the Congress, and Congress has not been in power there from 65 on. They're not even close to power. Forget, getting anywhere close to the whole thing. So, and what are the number of seats that a DMK traditionally allocates to the Congress during an assembly election? 20, 25. So that is, so you started borrowing that. You did
Okay.
you did the hate agenda, anti-hate agenda, love and mohabbat ki agenda, which was like speaking like a spiritual guru or a, trying to be a lesser version of Jaggi Vasudev or somebody else. And then you start moving towards federalism, and then you suddenly borrow caste because you think that the centralizing impulse of Modi is can be countered only if you give a kind of India as a union of states is something that he started asserting that. No,
That's right. Correct.
everybody knows that. But you are talking in a time and age when nationalism has taken a certain virulence into its agenda. It's not that
Hmm.
benign nationalism, Nehruvian nationalism, or Gandhian, thing. There is a certain virulence, and it is all about loss of cultural identity. Loss of, migrants are such a big issue in every other country. So there is, about, Trump's whole agenda of making America great again, keeping everybody out. So that is the trend that is being spoken about, which actually Modi triggered into the Indian mainstream in 2014. Did it, or Viktor
With
Orban
his.
did it, or if Meloni did it in Italy.
Hmm.
It had started, and you were missing that thing. So all that you had to think of. It was a very difficult situation for him to counter. But then you should have been
Yes.
at least conscious and aware that you need a narrative to counter the cultural nationalism that is happening out there. You know what cultural nationalism has done
I'm
to.
going to hold you on to this thought and take a quick break, but we're going to come back and I'm going to ask Sugata to continue his chain of thought and go a bit more on this. So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Cover Story. We're in conversation with Sugata Srinivasaraju. He's an author and a journalist. And of course, we're talking to you about the politics of Congress, in particular Rahul Gandhi, since you've also written a book on him, you followed him closely. We were talking about what he's doing to counter Modi and whether he's doing the right thing. And we were talking about cultural nationalism. So complete your thought.
Yeah, so cultural nationalism, what that has done to Modi, or what in other words is Hindutva politics, is that it gives you a default air cover. It gives you a
Ah,
20% head start in any election. So the rest of it is what you do is you build on that 20% or 25%, depending on what your assumption is that you've gained. But for the Congress, it always starts at a 0 point. There is no air cover. This whole pride about it being the party of freedom movement and Nehru and Gandhi, I think it's completely lost on this generation. And there has been enough propaganda to make you feel doubtful about the kind of credentials you build for certain leaders in the Congress party. And
correct.
for the longest period, Congress allowed everybody to be appropriated, be it a Sardar Patel, be it Subhash Chandra Bose, everybody and anybody were Ambedkar. Ambedkar
Hmm.
got appropriated in the 90s, 80s, sorry, 80s and the 90s. And the whole Ambedkar, you'll be surprised, during the emergency is not even mentioned once. But he was the one who had actually framed the constitution, and the battle during the emergency was all about protecting that constitution which had been dismantled by Indira Gandhi. JP becomes the face or someone who's trying to protect the constitution, but not a. But 5 or 10 years down the line, after emergency is lifted, Ambedkar becomes the face of this whole thing. So Ambedkar becomes a universal figure, and Congress is still not appropriating him or going back to him or taking him into, their pantheon of leaders. But they arrive there again very, very late after everybody else has taken him up. Look at the way the
Correct.
BJP swung to appropriate, Ambedkar, despite
Hmm.
Ambedkar being so very clear about the politics of Hindu nationalism,
Last.
right?
Hmm.
You remember certainly the book that Shauri wrote. Arun Shauri was very much part of the cabinet of
BJP.
Vajpayee and a BJP leader. He called him. The whole book was called "Worshipping False Gods." Right. So if look at from that point to the the talk of Modi around Ambedkar, where entire sessions have been consumed talking about Ambedkar now. And the whole agenda is about protecting the constitution. So Rahul Gandhi jumped to the Ambedkarite agenda, during the previous elections, that is the
Hmm.
24 elections. So it was so there was Mohabbat ki Dukan, there was caste, there was federalism, and there was protecting the constitution. So again, would say Mayawati or any other Dalit leader allow that agenda to be taken over by the Congress? Like the DMK will not allow you to take over the federalist agenda. So Congress's politics, very ironically, is against its own allies more than it is against the BJP. So
That is,
nibbling at the, you know, pinching into the cake that is there and that belongs
yeah,
to their own allies. So that's the funny part.
that's,
So there is nothing
and
that
that,
their
yeah.
own. That is the problem. That they can offer to the rest of the country.
I totally agree with what you said. But the one point when we began by saying Rahul thinks power is poison, he says it, but does he think it? Because the way Rahul, and he didn't even let Prashant Kishore come in, he doesn't want to give up the power of the party. His whole grouse against Ahmed Patel was कि मुझे काम नहीं करने देते थे, the old guard didn't let me work. So he wants that power, I would say, or you think he doesn't want it? What does he want?
No, I mean, I think there it is not about power. It's about a certain kind of idealism. If somebody comes in and probably tells him that these are the henchmen who have actually corrupted the idea of, doing politics a certain way, in an honorable
Hmm.
way, because they are essentially people who look at money, who sort of, look at propaganda, who tweak things here and there, or I
And
mean,
pro-industry.
yeah, pro industry, that and this. I think it is that which dispelled him or put him off about, say, an Ahmed Patel or somebody else. So I think it is not about power there. It is about
It's about
a
control.
certain notion of idealism and politics, which he thinks his father was also finished by that. By these
Hmm.
same, arbitrators of power finished his father. So I think it is that kind of a thing. I also feel, this is absolute speculation in my mind, which I can share with a fellow journalist, is that I think his subconscious completely resists politics because he thinks politics took away his most loved people in life. His grandmother and his father. And his mother has suffered quite a bit of abuse, quite a lot of abuse. So I
Yeah.
think the subconscious resists something, but then, he's caught in this strange burden where he has to, be there, can't run away. You go away, you're damned. You stay, you're damned. It's a very difficult kind of position for him.
So then what should he do? They went ahead and they appointed Kharge as Congress president. But, all said and done, even then, nobody was fooled that Kharge would really run the party. He would do what Rahul or Sonia tell him to do. And that is what is happening. So control is still with Ten Janpath or with Tughlaq Road now with Rahul Gandhi.
Right.
Uh, so, so I mean, the strange burden of being Rahul, where does he go from here? Because he's appointing people. Maybe it's because of the trust factor, but people who don't really know how the Congress runs, there's so much dissatisfaction against his team. I'm sure he's hearing it too. But yet, someone like a Tharoor, he's already lost a lot of good men to the BJP. Tharoor may be on his way out. So, uh, how does he, what does he do to control this? What is it in the messaging, or is I mean, him saying jisko jana hai jaye is also not the right answer, because there are good people also who are leaving the party.
No, probably there was an answer some 5 or 6 years ago, Priya. I mean, in the first term of Modi, probably there was an answer. There was a greater chance of course correction in the first term of Modi. But I think it's now a few things have escaped him. His
Hmm.
image has, in a certain way, as a loser, has got entrenched, and the BJP spares no effort to sort of keep driving that thing across. So that is one part of it. But in my book and even in my articles earlier, I had suggested something, which is, since you're speaking so much about democracy and someone who protects and wants to protect democracy and the constitution and wants a very functional kind of thing. So why don't, and dynasty, which is a which is an institution that emerged in India after the emergency. I mean, it's a consolidation of that dynastic power started only after the emergency. And since there is so much being said about that, why don't you say very clearly that you don't want executive power? You will not chase power like any other politician, but stay there and fight for the values of the Congress party, the secular, socialist, whatever it could be. You can formulate anything if you're not fighting for executive power. So if that was said and invoke the sacrifice kind of tone of his mother to say that, it would have
Yeah.
probably worked in 2017 or 18. But now even that has been dumped because look at the number of cases being slapped. Look at the number of, things being told by people who have left the Congress about him. So
Hmm.
it's too mired a pitch now. I think he has moved closer to the Modi agenda of Congress Mukt Bharat. When he shouldn't have allowed that, is what I feel. And you mentioned Karge, very interesting. See, in Karge, Karge was not a mass Dalit leader. He was a Kota Dalit leader always. In Karnataka, he
Hmm.
did not come from the movements. He was just handpicked by a great Devraj Aras and put there on the pedestal. And so he did not have to go back to organize his people. He was always there, just moving along with the party's success and failures, and he was there as a quota person. So Rahul Gandhi picks a person like that and puts him in the center. It was relatively better than having a Tarur there because this man had a certain identity, and that identity represented a large, population of India. So that's fine. But then there is a certain inbuilt inability in Mr. Karge that he cannot organize. He can administer. He's a reasonably good administrator and he can govern,
Hmm.
but he cannot organize. And the need of the Congress party at that time was about organizing.
Organized.
So you see the contradiction. There are
So right
possibly
concept, wrong man.
right concept, wrong man. Bhupesh Baghel perhaps would have been a better, party president or somebody else. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it is that kind of a thing. And look at what Karge says in Karnataka. The High Command will decide on the Karnataka crisis.
बिल्कुल हाँ.
Forgets all the time that he is the High Command, but he is actually, that is a very deliberate amnesia, is what I say, because having grown in the sycophantic culture of the Congress party, I think he's very happy to concede or cede power to the family. So what they have done by default, Sidramaya, who says High Command will decide, DK says High Command will decide, Karge also says High Command will decide. So what does that
हाँ.
do finally? The whole thing will fall at Rahul Gandhi's feet, and this failure will also become his. So they've
Exactly.
increased
Yeah.
their burden. They've increased their burden. Nobody is taking responsibility in that party.
That's a very good note to end on. I would have loved to continue, but we're out of time. In fact, it's a deja vu of a script we saw with Sachin and Ashok Gehlot, Kamal Nath and Sindhya, Baghel and Singhdeo, and now
They've learned no
in
lessons from
Karnataka.
any of that. Yeah.
No lessons, and as you said, it's like setting up Rahul really to take the fall because there
Yeah.
is no way out really on this one. But thank you for this, and as you said, strange versions of being Rahul Gandhi being enacted yet again, and hope to see you again and have some more conversations like this. But for now, thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya. Thank you very much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.